Coming to you from 8122 Production Studios in the heart of the 607, this is Horror Zone 607. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And remember, you can always join the conversation using hashtag HZ607. Welcome to Horror Zone 607, the podcast where we talk all things horror and bring you the week's biggest horror movie news. I'm your host, Mike C., back in the studio for another week of fun-filled horror movie action. This week we've got the normal news. We're going to talk a lot about the news. We've got a fun literature segment that we're going to discuss with all you fine listeners this week. And we've got a brand new 3-part countdown that we're going to be doing this week. So a lot of fun stuff to talk about this week. But I can't do any of that without first bringing in my wonderful co-hosts. First, he's the real reason the Beatles broke up. Say hello to that scoundrel, Rich.
That's right. I gave it to Yoko good.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, no.
You still are.
That's not.
Oh, no, Yoko.
She, if you thought what she was recorded on, then you think you should actually hear it in the moment. It's like a cat in a blender, baby.
And you produced it all.
That's right.
You're the brains behind the Yoko.
That's right. That's not tantric music. That's sweet, sweet love right there.
It's actually the band Tantric.
I learned all my moves.
Rich.
I learned all my moves from Dr. Derek.
I believe that. And also, back for the third week in a row. I can't believe that this is actually... I'm saying these words, but he's here for the third week in a row. He is the smartest man in all of horror podcasting. Welcome back, the Professor.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me.
I almost called you a broadcaster.
Yeah, I am.
We were a podcaster. We're not broadcasters,
Well,
so my bad.
If you want to split hairs here.
So, before we do anything, before we get to the news, and before we do anything, what exactly do you have your degree in anyway?
Well, I follow in the footsteps of one of my heroes, He-Man. So my master's is in the universe.
Huh. Is it too early to do The Price is Right? It's never too early for that. You lose.
Yeah.
Well, I started with a bachelor's of the universe.
so far, that is the fail of the week. So far.
Welcome, Rafe. Well, Professor, excuse me.
Professor Rafe?
Professor Rafe, whatever. It's the Rafe we've talked
they
about.
Know,
they know.
He's getting demoted down to teacher.
Yeah, you're just
teacher. They know.
You're Mr. Rafe.
Mr.
You're no longer professor anymore. All right, so you guys want to talk about some
my
news?
Credentials.
Yeah, sure.
Or do you want to talk about the Super Bowl?
I want to talk about the Puppy Bowl.
The Puppy Bowl?
The Penguin Bowl from Ross Park Zoo was all right.
I heard.
There's just cute penguins running around a barge.
Yeah, just kind of like flapping around and waddling. And
I don't want to talk about it. I know Ken M from the Otodura Parlay Hour was happy because he parlayed some stuff, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I know what you mean.
But then also we got to bust his balls because he was cheering for Sammy Watkins, and you know how big of a Bills fan he is. And yeah, the fact that he cheered for Sammy Watkins made me and Padawan Jay's day. Because I watched the Super Bowl over at Ken M's house. We were having a good time. My wife, my kid, myself, Padawan Jay, his girlfriend, and Ken, and the dog. The dog was there. By the way, halftime. I will defend the halftime show. The dog was on the edge of his seat. It was riveting television.
Was it? I bet he was.
Yeah, the dog was ready.
That's the most action he's seen in a while. So
the dog is a savage. He's a straight savage.
He truly is.
He has no shame. We love the dog though. So
he's a man of few words, but
that Super Bowl. If anybody wants to complain about that Super Bowl, was dog approved.
I did get the invite. Unfortunately, usually I watch the Super Bowl with my dad. This year, I watched leading up to it with my dad, and then I actually got an invite to my girlfriend's family's house. And
yeah, that's fine.
Kind of did that. So I wish I could have been there with you guys.
Unfortunately, you watch it with your dad?
Well,
what's wrong?
No, I mean, I just wish I could have been in 3 places at once. That's what's unfortunate.
It was a lot of fun.
We were trying to put you on the spot.
We were at the ODPH studios. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a good place. Good place. All right, now we can start the news. So earlier today, before we started in the studio, there was we'll call it a leak. We don't know exactly if
That's
it was
what the
intentionally
doctor
leaked.
said, but I don't know.
Yeah, but the new Saw movie trailer, quote unquote, leaked. Now, we knew that this was supposed to hit Monday. They said it wasn't going to, but there was going to be something big about the new Saw movie coming this week. Kind of have a feeling, you were saying off air, you think that it was intentional.
I think that they're doing a guerrilla style of press. I mean, it so happened it ended up on Reddit, and it looks like it was filmed off of a big screen. Who else would have the ability
front row,
to...
too.
Like, it wasn't, it wasn't in... Movie theaters don't get the trailers that much in advance. For somebody to just happen to come upon it.
That was at someone's
Right, well, it would have
home
ended up
theater.
online before it would have ended up in a theater, or it would have at least somebody would have said something.
There was no rating before it, so that has to exist.
And it wouldn't have hit on a
theater.
Tuesday in a theater.
So basically, I think what they did is somebody recorded it and put it up, and they're doing it guerrilla style because it matches the grit of the movie.
Probably
because
Chris
the trailer
Rock's
is very
child. Was
obviously,
doing
we did find out it is officially titled Spiral, the book of Saw.
From the Book of Saw,
From the
yes.
Book of Saw. So that is the
So we know
official
that
title.
that is
That is the
official.
official title now. Also, it looked gritty. Diesel from Three Fat Nerds says that it looks very much Seven-esque. And as we have documented, he's scared of his own shadow. But he put it out there that he shan't be missing this one. So he's actually into it because he loves Seven, and it has that gritty feel to it. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know what I think of it yet. Again, it's a gritty trailer. You know, we don't know exactly what to expect. To me, it looked more like a crime drama than a Saw movie, as I was talking to you guys about before we went on the air. I don't know. It didn't look at all like a Saw movie.
But
from what I saw.
The initial Saw movie was a crime drama.
Yeah, but there were traps at least. I didn't see a trap in this. Now,
They're not
maybe I
going to
missed
show them
something.
early, brother.
Yeah, this
They
is
did.
a teaser.
They did with all the other Saw movies.
I think the thing
man.
with this was they're trying to fake out, like, oh wait, this is a Saw movie.
Yeah.
Like that's the purpose of this trailer. Like, oh crap,
like let's bring you into
then
the
we're
world,
gonna
man.
then we're gonna start seeing more of the
They happen.
gimmicks
You
and
kind
stuff.
of see. I mean, it's grainy, so you can't see it too well. You do kind of see something on the ground that appeared that they
like
were
the mess of-
investigating.
ugh.
Yeah, there was a mess of something.
Gore.
So I'm assuming that was a trap that somebody was in because
Yeah.
I don't think they're there anymore. But I think they're being vague. I think they're doing what it's because it's hit and miss with you on this. I will say that I've called you out on it before. Sometimes you get angry when there's not enough shown in a trailer, and sometimes you get angry when the whole movie trailer, the whole movie's ruined.
there.
I like it when they leave it obscure. This is giving me,
For the most part, I do too.
this is giving me the feels. This is giving me the feels like, okay, it is a Saw movie. We get to hear the soundtrack. You get to hear the spiral. You see the spiral on the wall, so you see the jigsaw, symbol. You get, now it's a Saw movie. It is definitely going back to the original James Wan version of where it's a crime drama, so we don't know who the killer is.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm assuming what they're kind of. This is my assumption. I could be wrong, but what I'm drawing from the whole scenario is they said it is in the world of Saw. I don't think Jigsaw's around. I don't think that this is Jigsaw. I think what's happened is
'cause nothing's come out
after
saying whether
Jigsaw
he's
is
in it or
dead,
not.
after Jigsaw dies, somebody either was one of his henchmen that we didn't know about, or they just found his writings and they decided to take it out. It seems like this person, according to the trailer, is killing cops.
Yes.
We don't know if they're bad cops. They could be bad cops. It could be that the person perceives all cops to be bad. You don't know.
It could be a cop who's
It could be a
spiraled
cop.
out of control.
There you go. There you go. And I love how you spiraled in there.
If I called that, I win.
Yeah,
There you go.
And
I'm calling it right
just
now.
like you saw, there's a scene in the trailer where you have Sam Jackson with a flashlight and a gun, and he's telling the person to announce themselves. We're assuming that he's playing a cop, but we originally thought he might be playing the new Jigsaw, if you will. Like I told you, from that he might
could be
actually be
chasing
looking
down
for whoever
good
he's
guy.
looking for.
Yeah.
And the only thing
that could be the climax of the movie.
But speaking about what gives you all the feels is that last scene, because the last scene shows clear as day Chris Rock chained to a wall, and then he picks up a hacksaw.
Yeah.
So you're like,
A la
ooh,
Carrie Elwes.
we're really in a Saw movie.
Yeah.
So I think they're giving you the feels without giving the movie away, which I'm appreciative of.
And that's
I'm
fine as long as that's what it ends up being. Because to me, it looked like the new Grudge compared to the other three American versions of the Grudge. It looked completely different. It looked like it was a different production company doing it. That's kind of what I felt just by looking at this. I hope I'm wrong.
Well,
what we do
this
know
is
about
a grainy, gritty video.
right,
too.
but what we do know about this, Darren Lynn Bousman's directing it. He directed other Saw movies, so we got a familiar hand back in it. One of the things that I don't like seeing, I don't want to see a Halloween movie that doesn't have the Halloween theme in it. This movie, he's already said that Zepp's theme is going to be in it, which is
But we kind of heard a slow. If you watch the trailer again, there's a slower version of that in the trailer.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, there's a couple other sounds from the original movie.
Good,
but it's real slow.
And we knew
down.
that was going to be there because he had said that it was going to be in there.
That's
so
fine. I think they're giving.
I'm
you all
sure
the
it's going to be
feels.
fine. I'm still excited to see it.
Well,
I wasn't overly impressed by the trailer.
What you have going for you is you have a director who's capable, who has a lineage in the thing. I can't remember exactly who wrote this movie.
Didn't Chris Rock?
Chris Rock did.
Chris Rock had something to do with the writing. I don't think he wrote the entire script.
Yeah, he may have just.
I think he had a
right.
I think he had a writer with him. I just don't remember who it was. I do know he's the producer, and I know he's a hardcore fan of the franchise. So I feel like he's keeping in touch. I think what he's doing is going back and not recreating. I don't want to use the word rebooting, because I don't think he's rebooting. I think he's making a continuation of this story, as he's always said. But I think what he's doing is going back to that gritty, how the first movie was, where it is a crime movie that has the horror elements to it. I think you're going to see that when the movie comes out.
I'm hoping for a better version of.
But think about it. We don't know
movie.
the Jigsaw Killer now, so you have to go back to that original philosophy where we don't know it. It is a whodunit. They don't know who the killer is, as we just were kind of pondering in 2 seconds. It could be somebody who hates cops, because we know they're killing cops. It could be a cop that hates cops. It could be, it could be endless amounts of people. It could potentially even be the real Jigsaw Killer. You don't know.
And that would be brilliant if it ended up being that.
The real twist. What a twist.
Yeah.
This is
we
a
don't
world
know
where
if Tobin Bell's going to be in it. They're keeping that tight-lipped.
Think about it. This is a world where he's alleged dead.
Yeah.
So, because this is taking place after.
Is it? Does it take place after? Do we know that?
But it appears that way. Once again, we're only going by speculation. It appears to take place after.
Chris Rock did write the treatment for it. Screenplay was written by Josh Stolberg and Peter Goldfinger.
Okay.
So
yeah, he had the treatment. So he came from the story.
Goldfinger.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it's a Bond villain. Yes.
Yes.
Bond villains
The
write
son
movies
of
now.
Ulrich Goldfinger is writing movies.
Sure.
That's
It's
excellent.
pretty awesome. But once again, I think the movie is in good hands overall, because obviously I would worry more about
Same
this
producers,
movie.
The executive producers are all back.
Right. I would worry about this movie if it was a totally new director who has nothing to do with the Saw franchise and not the same executive producers, but it's everybody who this is their baby.
Or if it was Osgood Perkins.
No, yes.
We're going to get to him. We're going to get to Osgood later.
You just hold me back.
The addition of Chris Rock, I think, is a strong point in this movie, though.
I think it's cool.
Unlike it doesn't. I don't feel like this is going to hurt the movie. It's not a case where somebody's going to overstep. I know your hard feelings about Danny McBride having to do with Halloween, but Rafe tends to like the Danny McBride version, and I'm not against it. So I'm in the. I wasn't. It was the greatest movie ever, but I'm like, it's a good movie. You hate it. We get it, but I think there's a time and place. And
0.5 out of 10.
The one cool thing about it is I thought it was kind of a neat little. The trailer opens lighthearted. The trailer opens lighthearted with a joke. They're in a car like cops would be, and they get the call, and then it goes dark.
Well,
so I think that's a cool. I think
he said that's how it was going to be.
It's going to be light.
There's
going to be a little bit of lighthearted tones, and then it's going to get dark. What that means to me is that it potentially is going to be a very mean-spirited movie.
And I'm glad that it's not going to turn. I'm glad that they came out and said that, because the last thing I would have wanted to see is Chris Rock with his leg in a cuff. Oh my God, my leg is in a cuff. Ha ha ha. I would have hated that if that's what they did.
That.
That would have been horrible. That would have been the worst thing ever.
I want to edit that out.
Chris Rock. We don't want to make him look like an ass. Chris Rock has done
what
some.
the fuck is going on with my leg?
Chris Rock has
What's
actually
this
done some
song doing
serious. Has done some serious movies. It's been very good in serious movies.
I always think comedians generally are the best dramatic actors.
Jim Carrey's a good dramatic actor.
I mean,
Adam Sandler.
Yeah,
Adam Sandler.
100%. And hit or miss depending on what they're writing, given our opinions or whatever. But this looks like I have not been into Saw. I remember the first one unkindly, and this I'm interested. I'm like totally wasn't. I'm gonna check out all the movies.
Right.
I'm gonna get caught up so I can watch this. It looks like a better version of the first movie, because that first one we were talking about how like Danny Glover just kind of comes out of nowhere. It looks like it's taking that kind of approach, like from his kind of character's perspective,
but from the
start, and then bringing us into Saw. And as far as the trailer goes, like imagine you're in a theater and you don't know anything about the Saw movie or a new Saw movie at all. You see this, and it's like, oh, Chris Rock is a cop. What the hell's going on? Then you start seeing the spirals. It's like, oh, whoa, what the fuck? And then, oh, shit, it's a Saw movie.
Yeah.
So, like, I get the trailer a little bit. I don't think they should have leaked it. I think they should have
I think so too. But
I think they should have just thrown it in the theaters.
They might have not, but I think honestly, I think the way it came out is too fishy to me.
Yeah,
like it's a bigger. You can tell it's not a television screen. It was shot off. It was
here it is.
shot
I mean,
off of a bigger screen.
We're through Tuesday already, and they did say
Monday was the
something
trailer.
is going to happen. But they said we're not going to get the trailer, but big news, something big's going to happen this week. This may be what that big thing is. The trailer actually did hit.
Yeah.
It just isn't the way we thought.
I just wish I had been in the theater to see that. You know, like to.
Oh
see
no,
that
I agree
trailer.
with you.
Yeah.
It'd been like, all right.
But maybe here's what I might also puzzle you with. Maybe we'll see a different trailer when it does hit the theater.
True.
Maybe this was like, hey, here's a little taste just to get it out there.
Yeah.
We're teasing you. Oh, it leaked. We don't know how it leaked. And then when it comes out, it's a different trailer, which has happened before.
Yeah.
I think really, I have to agree with I love the franchise. I'm a big Saw fan. I own all the movies. I have converted most of them over to Blu-ray even because I own them all on DVD, but I've started to convert all of them. I think I only have like 3 left to buy on Blu-ray. So I love the franchise. I love where it goes. I think that this is a throwback to the original. I don't think, like I said, not to confuse that with a reboot. It is a throwback to a whodunit because the original was a whodunit. We didn't know who the killer was till the end of the movie,
right.
And he was in front of our face the whole time, which was ingenious. I don't think you're going to see a guy laying on the floor this time,
yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see the killer as somebody who's in our face the entire time. I wouldn't even be surprised if Chris Rock's the killer.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me because it would be the biggest throw off ever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that I like I said, from what I gather, I don't know if this is before or after, but I'm assuming that this is a copycat after. I'm assuming somebody is now taking the teachings of Jigsaw, what he stood for, that if you want to value life, you have to earn it.
Someone
and
who
he's putting it, he's got somebody who has an axe to grind. And obviously an axe to grind against cops.
Someone who has the know-how as well and would have knowledge of all this stuff would be like that kind of character would be interesting if it were a cop.
Yeah,
like,
it would be a cop. It would be interesting if it was a cop because the henchmen were cops. You never know.
Right.
They could have gotten books. Hence why it's called the book from the book of Saw. It could be an actual book. You never know.
Right.
It's kind of like, but I think this is a cool spin-off way. It's not really a spin-off. It's a good continuation because
disciples.
now that you have Jigsaw gone, you could actually literally make movies where you have different disciples in different situations.
Corkscrew from the book of Saw.
I know. We joked about that last week, but you really could.
Yeah.
You could really carry this on to have a bunch of whodunits that are actually kind of cool because it would give you the Saw, it would give you the torture devices, it would give you the premise, but every time it would be a different killer
and a
where
different
you're
twist
like in a different
the...
twist, and you'd have to figure it out. That's what made Scream fun. That's what made the original Saw fun. That's what made that twist so good because nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
Then you go back and rewatch it, knowing the twist, and you can see him in the background of different shots when they're doing the flashbacks.
Right.
You could also have like different with the different traps and everything, different killers. Some are more adept at making traps, some are sloppier, some are more precision, like that could be an interesting way to take it too. Like some really interesting versions.
Once again, I have hope for it. I think because it's in good hands on May 15th, we'll find out that it's not going to be a bad movie. I don't think it will. Yeah, May 15th. It's coming close. But I think that this isn't going to be a bad. I think people are going to go see it, and I actually think it's going to be one of those like, oh, I think it's going to surprise some people. If you're sleeping on it, could be a child's play. But I think that the name carries enough that people are going to be interested in, especially because it's carrying.
Saw is big,
and because it's carrying the names of some pretty big guys on its back. I mean, Sam Jackson's in this movie, Chris Rock's in this movie and producing this movie. As you pointed out, all the executive producers from Saw movies are there. It's a former director of Saw movies. Like these are guys who are seasoned pros at these movies, and they're going to come give you the best that they can. So I promise that before it's all over, you'll see it. I just hope they don't give too much away in a future trailer.
I just hope it puts a smile on Mike's face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so too. All right, moving on. We got a lot of news we got to cover, so we're going to move on.
That's fine.
No, I want to stay.
Are you guys? So, per bloodydisgusting.com, shelved back in 2018 was a reboot of The Crow. And we've heard this. Well, apparently it's back in production.
Seething.
The Crow is back in production.
No.
With Jason Momoa again or no?
No.
Because the last time it was with Jason Momoa, and he
exited.
He
exited.
I'm gonna stop this movie from happening.
Listen,
You know who's going to be in it this time?
Here's
It's going
the
to
funny
be
part.
Roman Reigns is going to be in this movie.
I'm gonna actually stop this. This time it's gonna be me.
I was gonna
This
say,
time it's gonna be me.
don't be surprised. Fans have stopped this movie every time it's gone.
Yeah.
So,
This time it's gonna be
there's
me.
some movies that don't need a remake.
Maybe
The Crow
Chris
was
Rock
one of
will
them.
be the Crow this time.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be Chris Rock.
I'd rather that. Actually,
it might be.
you know.
Or Sam Jackson.
But
You kill me, motherfucker.
I don't understand Well, the only version that sounded cool to me was when Rob Zombie was going to make it way back in the mid to late 90s. And it was like a futuristic...
It was going to take place at a trailer park?
No, it was a futuristic... It was
starring Sherry Moon
It was set in
Zombie.
the future, and it was like a bounty hunter character. And
I'll tell you exactly what would have happened.
Fucking crazy.
Sherry Moon Zombie would have been living in a trailer park. She would have been the girlfriend. Bill Moseley would have been the crow.
No. It was a
Sid
different...
Haig would have been a thug.
I think the script might
Rainn
be...
Wilson would have been a merman.
Yes, yeah, he would have been a merman.
Merman.
No. Honestly, though, I mean...
Richard Brake would have ended up being one of the bad guys. I mean, it would have just been the same old gang.
But there's no need to make this movie. It's just...
No, I just think...
There's not a lot of need to remake a lot of these movies.
Well, but this one's touching on a very... Like, this is safe.
Hey, you know what? If all else fails, I'm positive that we can get to be in a Crow movie. You know who I'm positive? Edward Furlong. Oh, wait.
Yeah, he did that.
Wait.
Was that...
That's right.
The Wicked Prayer?
Wicked Prayer wasn't as bad as people remember.
See...
We got Danny Trejo and Cheech.
True.
I'm even forgiving...
so it
I'm
was from
even
Dusk Till
forgiving with
Dawn.
City of Angels.
Yeah,
I think that was the second one.
I will say this: believe it or not, the sequels to, if you don't look at them as sequels and look at them as like their own individual things, believe it or not, they're not horrible.
They remind
really
me of
are
the
not.
From Dusk Till Dawn movies.
Yeah, but unfortunately, they carry the Crow name, so that's where people have a problem with it. That's why people have a problem with rebooting the Crow, because let's be honest, the Crow as a movie is a damn near perfect movie.
Yes,
I mean, and yes, as far as the emotional part of Brandon Lee dying during the making of the movie, that goes in. But Brandon Lee delivers this performance that you can't really recreate. And on top of that, the movie itself, look at it, frame by frame, is a perfect movie. It's shot perfectly. The soundtrack is perfect. The movie is literally, in my opinion, I hate giving out 10s, as you know, but this is another one of those movies that hits a 9.5.
I saw it when I was like in 9th grade or something. I wasn't impressed.
Dude,
I didn't
this
like
changed
it, but I've
my
never
life.
tried to watch it again.
The Crow changed my life.
I'm
And
sure if I need to watch it again because I'm sure I'd like it.
The thing
now.
that's really interesting about what Brandon Lee was doing is he was way far ahead of the game as far as being an action movie star. He was doing method acting stuff with this character, the Crow, with Eric Draven. Like, it wasn't until the Blu-ray that I noticed in one scene he's got bullets in his hair. He's tying bullets to his hair, and that was just something he did as on his own. Like, nobody told him to do that. Brandon Lee came up with that idea. Like, he was really invested in the character, and this is like, as far as comic book filmmaking, like, that is a significant contribution. Like, you would like, it kind of goes back to Danny DeVito as the Penguin in Batman Returns, but like there's a clear line from Danny DeVito's Penguin to Brandon Lee's Crow to like Heath Ledger. You know, like it's just the Crow cannot be overstated. It's so good.
I agree with you. I like I said, it's a great movie, and it's shot. Like I said, the Blu-ray helps a little bit because it does make the movie clear because it's a very dark movie.
Yeah.
But I love that about it. It's a very dark movie. He plays the character. He gives that once in a lifetime performance. It's kind of like it literally is kind of like watching, if you've seen Joker, it's like watching Joaquin Phoenix play Arthur Fleck.
Yep.
It's a once in a lifetime performance where you go, oh, that's how you should do it.
Yep.
And it's impressive. It's a very impressive thing. Notice I didn't say Joker, the Joker. He plays Arthur Fleck. I mean, it's a different character. But I mean, it's a once in a lifetime performance, and I think that's why people have a problem with it, because you're never going to live up to that. Yep. And the sequels weren't trying to live up with that even. They were trying to be their own thing, and the problem is they carried that name, so they kind of stigmatized. If you watch those back, they're not horrible.
The original version of Crow City of Angels, like, the script is way different.
Oh, yeah.
Way different. And if they had... And there's like a work print somewhere that's got to exist, I think. They've talked about it. It's been talked about. But like, that would have been awesome. If we get to see that at any point, I doubt we will. But
if they did that instead of a reboot, I think people might be more advantageous to it.
Make City of Angels, but do the actual scripts.
Yeah, exactly. People might like it. You never know.
That'd be great.
Right. Chalk this one up to like possibly interesting news. Taron Egerton, I hope I'm pronouncing his name
that's
right. Taron Egerton. He's in talks to star in a new Little Shop of Horrors movie. And Scarlett Johansson's already been offered a role as Audrey in the film. Yeah. So this could be interesting. Some big names getting involved in Little Shop of Horrors.
I'm not upset about that. I mean,
I love Little Shop of Horrors.
It just hit that Rick Moranis might be returning to film.
I saw that.
Doing.
It's too bad he wouldn't come back to do
Ghostbusters,
but he's going to come to do another Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movie.
Hey, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? I'm just
I
saying.
wonder what the deal is. Scheduling.
Well, no, he's
retired.
been staying. He
I know
stayed
he's
away
been-
from Hollywood. He went
He
and
did
took care of his
country
family.
album. He did a country album. That's actually pretty good.
Actually, the only appearances he's made recently was he did the voice of Lord Helmet for the Goldbergs, an episode of the Goldbergs.
Yeah.
And he did the SCTV reunion show.
Oh,
There was
well,
a
that
reunion
makes
show
sense.
for that in Canada,
Yeah,
and he did that. Outside of that, he's really stayed away because he when he retired, he left to take care of his wife and kids, and he enjoyed being at home after all. I would like to see him come back and do something. I'm assuming Honey, I Shrunk the Kids being a Disney property is a good reason why he's coming back. If he does that one.
And if you get a chance, check out the Agoraphobic Cowboy.
There you go.
The country album that Rick Moranis recorded back in
I'm gonna get right on. I'm gonna order that right now while we're talking. I'm gonna go right to Amazon.
I
and
shit
might
you
be
not,
good.
It is actually really good. I remember listening to it when it came out.
Folks that are fans of the Salem Horror Fest, some exciting news coming from that this year. So this is going to take place between October 1st and October 11th. This year they're going to have what's being called an immersive screening of Prince of Darkness, Prom Night, and Tales from the Crypt Demon Night. Prince of Darkness and Demon Night will be screened inside a former church, while Prom Night is going to be shown at a school dance setting. Prom attire is encouraged but not required.
That's awesome.
So this is kind of fun news.
That's amazing.
I might go folks
Where
in
is this?
Massachusetts.
When is this?
Salem, Mass.
Massachusetts.
October 1st through October 11th.
Okay,
I need to
Prince
find
of
out these
Darkness in a
dates.
church. That,
Oh, yeah.
that
Demon
is-
Night in a church. I don't know.
Well, Demon
I
Night
love Demon
and
Night.
Prince of both
Both of them in a church.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's awesome.
And the school setting for Prom Night. That
Yeah.
might be good.
How cool is that?
But I honestly,
Prince of Darkness is so
Demon,
good.
Prince of Darkness is great. Demon Knight's
Demon Knight's
underrated
great.
though.
Yeah.
Demon Knight's really underrated. People forget
Yeah,
about
that's
that
good.
movie.
Middle
It's a really good movie.
school, I remember watching that the first time, being like, "Oh my god, this is so awesome!" And it still holds up. It's great.
Billy Zane is actually amazing in that movie.
That movie, like, yeah, he totally.
There's some roles that he aces, and there's some not so much.
Yeah, his career, I think that movie makes him.
Oh yeah,
really.
absolutely. Believe it or not, I will say this, and I know it's a popular. He's not horrible in the Phantom. It was just
Phantom's-
it was just a bad movie. Phantom is just a bad movie.
Yeah,
he's not bad in it.
He
Though.
does well in it. That's
Not
for
to be
sure.
confused with Phantoms, because Ben Affleck was the bomb in
The
Phantoms.
bomb and Phantoms.
I
yo.
like that movie.
Phantom's like a motherfucker.
I like
Phantoms.
Phantoms. That's a different movie. I don't know.
Oh,
There's
no.
something, it's
I
not
actually-
good, but
I
I
actually
do
like
enjoy
that
it.
movie.
That's based on a Dean Koontz book.
Leave.
It's a bad
Liev
movie that's
Schreiber's
not
in that
bad.
movie.
It's a fun movie, but it's not good.
Leave.
It's
a pleasantly awful movie.
Liev.
However you say it. Liev.
Did
Liev
he narrate
Schreiber.
the Super Bowl? By the way,
Yeah, he does.
He
a
was
lot
at the
of,
Super Bowl, brother.
He does all the
narrated
documentaries on
it.
HBO.
I was like,
He was at the-
he
I was
narrates
like-
on HBO docs
they
all
put
the
him-
time.
but
he
They
was
put him on.
doing like he was doing a weird voice.
It doesn't
I don't
sound like
know.
him, but
I was
he
like,
does
well,
all of
that's not
HBO's
Liev
docs.
He was. I loved how they showed him. I was like celebrities. I mark out for him. I'm like,
I love Liev
you know.
Schreiber. He's a great
Yeah,
actor.
he's
And then of course Floyd Mayweather dressed as a handbag.
Yes.
Continuing. That's
course.
Cotton Weary. Cotton Weary.
Oh yes.
Cotton Weary.
Some scream up.
Scream.
Okay, so as I mentioned at the top of the show, we're gonna be wrapping things up here with the news here in a second. I got one
thought
more
that was
thing,
the bottom.
a couple of things I want to talk about. But in the second segment, we're going to be discussing Gretel and Hansel because you and I both separately saw it over the weekend.
Who
Professor.
are you talking to?
You, Professor.
Oh, me.
Not me.
So-
'cause I was spared from this.
We're
yeah,
on
you
the
didn't see it.
airwaves, Mike.
So we'll get to that in a second. However, Osgood Perkins, we got Osgood Perkins news here. So Osgood Perkins was on the Boo Crew last week and stated that he wants Gretel and Hansel to kind of kick off what could be the beginning of a fairy tale universe.
Good. That's great.
Is that with somebody else directing after I've heard some of the people's opinions?
Somebody
We'll be
please take
talking
over
about
for
it.
him.
I got a lot
Somebody
to say
please
about this
take
when we
over
get to
for
it.
him.
Yeah, there you go. Is this somebody else?
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Do a Grimm style?
Yeah, like
fairy
doing
tale
Grimm's
style?
fairy tales.
It would be a great idea.
Great
if it was,
idea,
and again,
just-
I don't want to give too much away because we're going to talk a lot
Yeah,
about this
I don't
in the
wanna-
second segment, but
But
the concept was good.
Just speaking of, let's say, the pretty little thing that lives in the house. Did you guys see that?
I tried to watch it. I thought it
didn't
was
see it.
terrible.
Most boring movie I've ever
Yeah.
seen in my life.
It was
And then,
god awful.
now I won't watch it. Thank you.
And honestly, like, that's what he does. And
I don't like the
want
Blackcoat's
any
daughter either.
I don't.
I thought that was terrible.
I
too.
liked Blackcoat's daughter a little bit more, but that
I thought it was a mess.
he needs to
Very atmospheric. He's got atmosphere down.
he needs, as a writer though, he needs to figure out something. Things need to happen.
Right.
Things
And again,
need-
We'll discuss it more.
Yeah.
I want to get more in depth with his directing when we get into the second
I will
segment,
just
so
say,
I don't want to do it now. But.
I will just say I just wanted to drop this in there because more exciting to me is that on May 12th somebody can buy me the Blu-ray edition of Idle Hands. Just so you know.
Oh yeah, I
Yes.
saw that.
So Scream
that's a
Factory,
great movie.
Scream Factory is
We talk about
releasing.
that a lot on the
Great
show.
movie.
I know.
Great movie.
Scream Factory is releasing Idle Hands on May 12th, and that is a movie I want to add to my collection on Blu-ray just because I love that movie.
Yeah, I do.
It's
too.
I think
it's
it
a
only
super-
exists on VHS.
Yeah, it only. That's why I said this is the first time it's getting a release on Blu-ray or even DVD.
Oh, I've had the
There
DVD
might
for
be-
years.
Do you have the DVD?
Yeah,
No,
that's
you
what
don't.
I've
They did
had
have
it for
one?
10
Okay.
years, 15 years.
I was gonna say, but the Blu-ray, it's never been on Blu-ray. Scream Factory is now putting.
Yeah, I bring it to your house every time we do a movie thing.
I wouldn't be
Professor.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised though. Like if it hadn't.
But that's
been on
grainy.
DVD.
I was gonna say that's grainy. That's grainy old DVD. footage.
Grainy old
Yeah.
DVD. It's like
It
vinyl.
hasn't had a reprint.
Like what the bare bones. Like the special feature is the trailer. Like special
Yeah.
features,
Yeah.
trailer and a movie poster.
Well, this
Yeah.
is this allegedly is going to have some behind the scenes footage, some deleted scenes, and
Yes.
even a new documentary
Good.
to go along with it. So Scream Factory's
It deserves it.
Scream, by the
Devin
way,
Sawa's
Scream,
been talking more
Yeah.
about Idle Hands
who
lately,
wrote
too.
and directed? Did anybody? Right?
Nobody wrote it, nobody directed it.
It just
directed
kind of
came-
happened.
It just happened.
That's a miracle. That's a miracle, guys.
It just actually happened. It came out of
just
nowhere.
happened. Yeah.
Rodman Flender directed it.
Okay.
It was written by Terry Hughes and Ron.
And if you ever
Milbauer?
want to know why we didn't get a sequel, the budget was $25 million. The box office was $4.2 million.
Yeah, it bombed, but it was such a good
But
movie.
but here's the thing.
So underrated.
It made its returns.
It made its returns on DVD
Yeah.
and VHS because it became a huge cult classic like it should
Yeah.
be. It's amazing.
College, that was a big movie.
I mean, Seth Green is phenomenal in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Jessica Alba was so
the
sexy.
Eldon
kid,
Henson
the kid
was
with
good.
the kid
I
with
can
the
say
bottle
that
in his
because
head. What
Eldon
was it?
Henson.
Oh, yeah.
Or no, that was Seth Green that
No,
had the
that-
bottle,
Oh,
wasn't it?
yeah,
I'm
Seth-
getting him confused.
Eldon Henson had his head taken.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Eldon
yeah.
Henson had no head, and the style on the head was that, and he was putting. Remember the meat over says, "I am a Leatherface."
Yep.
Vivica Fox is in that movie.
Yeah, she was.
It's got a great cast.
By the
It's
way,
a great
Fred,
movie.
Fred Willard.
Fred
Fred
Williams
is
in
in that
it.
movie.
Yeah,
I don't remember
briefly,
him
but
being in there.
I believe he was his father.
Yes, he
I
was.
don't even think he has a speaking role.
No,
He's just
no, he doesn't.
kind of a corpse.
He just he could
Yeah.
just be
And see,
there.
I was high school age, so Jessica
Fred
Alba
Willard.
was,
I just want to
Jessica
say,
Alba was hot.
Fred Willard is one of the
Jessica
funniest
Alba's
human
still
beings.
good looking.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying. I was
Jessica Alba was never.
If you look
hotter.
at it now
She
as
was
when you look at it now as an adult, like she's a teen girl in that movie.
I don't
but
care.
But I'm just going to point out, I was a teen boy when that movie
Yeah,
came
same
out.
here.
So
Same
like,
here.
She was never hotter.
She was smoldering hot.
Just to get back to Gretel and Hansel real quick, I just want to bring up.
We have a whole segment on that.
Yeah, the movie only made $6.05 million at the box office.
How
this
much
week.
was it? Budget?
$5 million.
Oh, so it made its
So
money
it
back.
made its
So
mo-
there you go.
it made its budget.
good.
back.
He's gonna make more.
It only made $6 million.
Congratulations. He
Yeah.
made its money back. I can't give it the fail horn because it didn't. It made more money.
No,
And,
I think it deserves a fail horn.
I mean, we'll wait till the next. We'll wait till the next one, but I think technically it did make its money back.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I just want to mention real quick, going again with Osgood Perkins, it also did
Failure for all of us.
It did come out that he's going to be writing and directing a quote unquote very far out episode of The Twilight Zone.
Well,
Well,
Just
that
what
might
we
work.
need.
just what I need another
An
far
art
out,
house episode of The Twilight Zone.
and it's far out. So it's going to obviously be 70s psychedelic LSD trip.
Yeah.
That's where we're going
Yeah.
with. I'm calling it. I'm calling my shot. Far out. Far out, bro.
That's pretty far out.
Well, you know what? That was a lot of information to digest, but I'll tell you what. If you would like to share comments with us about anything we talked about, or just anything at all, or anything you would like us to talk about, hit us up on Facebook, Horror Zone 607. Make sure you like and share that page. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Horror Zone 607. For all the social medias when talking about the show, use the hashtag HZ607. Also, you can visit 8122productions.com. You can check out some of Mike C's reviews over at the Horrors HZ607 articles portion of that. You can also check out you can stream and download our shows from there, as well as any other podcatcher on the planet. Also, check out the Three Fat Nerds. Check out all that we also have to offer. Then you also can go ahead and find us if you would like to support the show. You can go to patreon.com/8122 productions, and when you're there, it's $1 a month to $3 a month, $12 a year, gets you a ton of bonus content. So with that being said, patreon.com/8122 productions. That's all I got for that. So we're going to take the first break, and when we come back, I guess you're going to do a little review?
We're going to talk Gretel and Hansel more.
Oh, yeah.
And the professor. I keep wanting to call you Rafe. His name is Rafe. We've mentioned him a million times. He's the professor.
I'm the professor.
Whatever. He's one and the same.
Who is this Rafe?
But you're also going to be discussing some literature.
Literature.
So that's what we're going to be doing when we come back for segment 2. So
I got a
back.
book report for y'all.
Yeah, I can't wait. So you're listening to Horror Zone 607. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Dustin Parry from Ghost Hunters and Ghost Hunters International, and you listen to Horror Zone 607.
And welcome back to the Zone. So this segment 2, this week we're going to be discussing, as we mentioned a couple times early on in the show, Gretel and Hansel. So Gretel and Hansel hit theaters this week. What do we say about Gretel and Hansel? Directed by Osgood Perkins, the son of the late, great Anthony Perkins, better known as Norman Bates from Psycho. Do you want to start with this? Because I don't even want to talk about it.
I'll start with this. I mean, I went in with high hopes because I like movies about witches. Witches, like I think we've talked about this the last few weeks. I generally think movies about witches are the scariest, just because it gets into this occult, weird pagan stuff that taps into some really crazy things. So I had a favorable review of. I thought Blackcoat's Daughter was pretty good. Pretty Little Thing Under the Stairs, not so much. So, I was 50-50 with Osgood Perkins going into this as director. So he wrote and directed this, right? This is a complete auteur. He 100% did this. I'm just going to keep talking while you type. So
yeah, I'm going to look it up. I believe so.
I think it was written and directed by him.
He definitely directed it.
Yeah. So, all right.
Screenplay by Rob Hayes.
Okay. Story credit? Did he? Oh, so he didn't?
I'm trying to find it.
Okay, so he directed it. All right. So he can't.
Directed a screenplay he had co-written with Rob Hayes.
Okay. So he did have some say in
He
that.
co-wrote it.
All right. So let's go over the good stuff. So as far as style and technical aspects, the movie looks great. It's the cinematography is great. I know, Mike, you had some issues about the music, but I thought the music was all right. The opening scene really sets a strange kind of weird atmosphere, and I really actually dug the opening scene and turned to my friend Jay, who I went to see it with. We actually kind of drop-jawed. We're like, wow. But then everything just comes to a screeching halt. So the story begins... it really taps into this fairy tale idea. So the whole movie begins with a retelling of this old fairy tale, The Girl in the Pink Pointed Hat or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's narrated by the actress Alice Craig?
I have no idea how you pronounce it.
Sorry for the mispronunciation, but Alice Craig, she's a great actress. She's been in tons of stuff. You probably know her as the Borg Queen from Star Trek First Contact. But anyways, she narrates the opening, and it's this really creepy story. It ties kind of into things that happen, and I don't want to get into spoilers for anybody who goes to see it. But it sets the vibe, and it does it really well, and just great imagery and really iconic stuff happening. So once we get past that point, and it gets to the story of Gretel, and Gretel is trying to find a place for her and her brother, who's their mother has gone crazy. The father's dead. Is the father dead?
I didn't even catch. I was already falling asleep at that point in the movie.
Well, that's
it was about 5 minutes in.
Yeah,
yeah, he's missing. He's not there. That's all I know. The mother's crazy.
The mother's gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So Gretel's on her own, pretty much trying to find work, a place to stay. She interviews to some extent as a housekeeper for a creepy old man in makeup.
Right, who turns out he just wants to
do naughty
things to her.
Yeah, and she's narrating, and it's just like all, and they have to travel to a town to find a place to stay, and on the way they stop. There's a witch's house, and then the fairy tale or the classic part of it really begins.
Right. And I'm going to stop you right there because I want to talk about some of these things while we're talking about it.
Yeah.
So first things first, Sophia Lillis is who plays Gretel is for the most part, other than that opening scene, she's narrating this thing.
Yeah.
And that was annoying as sin. It was annoying as can possibly be.
It's just...
It sounded like... It was like monotone.
I'm going to talk about...
She was just reading it off of a paper. Yeah. Secondly...
It's really bad.
They on their way before they get to the witch's house, they end up coming across another house that they stay at. And
the knight there.
There's some hunter.
Yeah, the hunter knight.
They call him the hunter or something along those lines. They stop at this house. There's fire all over this place. It's nice and warm. There's upside down crosses inside of this place for no apparent reason. They lay down on a bed to take a nap, and some strange monster for no apparent reason gets up, starts screaming, chases them. And then this hunter kills the thing, brings them in, feeds them, tells them where to go, and then he's nowhere to be found ever again.
Yeah.
Never discussed again. Then they move on to the witch's house. So that scene really didn't have anything to do with the story whatsoever.
And he tells them to beware of the wolves?
He tells them to stay on the path that he drew them.
Yeah.
If they come across... If they go off the path, they're gonna come across some beings or something, and they will tell them lies.
Yep.
Now, what I remember of the story of Hansel and Gretel, I don't even remember why, but they leave breadcrumbs so they can find their way home. There's no breadcrumbs in this movie. That's like one of the biggest things of the whole story.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's nowhere to be found in this. Secondly, when they get to the witch's house...
that's not being nitpicky either. Like
that's like what people remember the most, other than the witch.
I didn't even think about that.
There's no breadcrumbs. There's no going home.
Like,
although at the end,
trail of breadcrumbs is like the biggest. It didn't even dawn on me how important that actually is to that story.
Right, and it was to find their way home.
And the fattening.
They know where they're going home. They know how to get
the
home.
Kids and everything. All right, so they get to the witch's house. Hulda, she's called, right?
Yeah, something like that. So
brilliant performance by.
She was good.
Alice Craig.
And I do want to mention again the atmosphere in this movie. I agree with you. Atmospherically, it was very, very good. The cinematography,
the colors,
in this was really good.
Like it looks like the guy clearly studied Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut.
And just throughout the movie, from what I remember as a little kid being told this story, it looked like in my head. This movie is what it looked like in my head.
It could have been a nightmare if something happened in the movie.
Now, when they get to the witch's house, here's another big thing. And Osgood Perkins, he did an interview after the fact, and he intentionally did this. Her house is a gingerbread house in the story.
Yeah.
There's no gingerbread house in this movie. There's no candy house. There's nothing. It's not like that.
Real.
Now, the house was cool looking. It was spooky.
It is cool.
And again, that was something that
Imagery,
I had forgotten
the triangle
about.
stuff.
Right. I forgot about the gingerbread house when I was watching this, and I thought the house, again, kind of looked like it did in my mind as a little kid.
Yeah.
So I didn't have too much of a problem with that. But again, there was no gingerbread house. That's a big part of the story. Gone. He took it out because he wanted to.
That might have been weird. Maybe... I don't know what to say about that. Like, I don't know how a gingerbread house would have looked on screen. But also...
and it probably looked better the way that it was than it would have if that was the case. That would have made it... that wouldn't have made a very good PG-13 movie.
They could have made the house...
movie.
They could have made the house look the same as it is now, but just, like, one of the kids, like, chips away at it and eats a little bit of it. Is like, oh, that's gingerbread.
Whatever.
Like,
It didn't need
something.
it.
But either way, like, the cool thing with the triangles, like, the witch that's in that opening story... is in a triangle, and then you see the house and it's a triangle. It's like, oh, clearly this is a witch,
Yeah.
So there's some cool connections, but once they get to the house, I couldn't really tell you much that happens.
Well, here's again, going back to the original story that's been told for how many decades, how many centuries,
hundreds of years.
So the basis of the story is the witch is feeding these little kids. So they're nice and fat, so she can cook them and eat them.
There's none of that.
There's none of that. She feeds them.
But
that's not why.
She mentions she's fattening up Hansel, and then they twist the whole thing's about Gretel becoming a witch. The witch is educating Gretel to become a witch. they're fattening up Hansel, but you don't really get a sense that anybody's in danger until the end, until the very the last scene plays out, and then all this stuff happens without any.
I mean, Gretel has a couple of nightmares, but other than that,
it's just she just kind of lackadaisically wanders around the woods, reflects on what's happening.
Right,
she's worried about her brother disappearing for a little bit.
Very monotone narrating of the story still going on in between scenes.
Like Sophia Lillis, whatever. That's the dullest lead performance I've ever seen in a movie.
Going back and watching it now, I'm gonna pick up on these things and realize that she wasn't as good as I thought she was.
I'm wondering what my opinion of it is going to be after this, because
it really exposed her for not being a good actress. I was telling you
if
before
that
we
was
went
the
on the
direction,
air,
though, because Osgood Perkins is not impressing me much anymore.
No, and I was telling you before we went on air, she was borderline Kristen Stewart in this movie, and that's not a good thing. That's not a compliment.
Yeah,
Kristen Stewart is a terrible actress.
Yeah,
she's an introvert. She's a terrible actress, and that's kind of there was no emotion from her whatsoever. Even when she tried, there was no emotion.
Yep.
But the whole thing, there's no. They don't push. I guess they technically push the witch into the oven, so to speak. There's a little twist there, but it wasn't.
The image was cool.
But
everything in that
story,
everything that happened in that white room. There's this white room, and
that makes no sense.
But it was cool. There was some cool stuff, but imagery wise, it just looked great.
But it made no sense.
Yeah,
it's not part of the Hansel and Gretel story, and it made no sense with what he put on film. I disagree with you about the music. A lot of people are praising him for the music. I thought that it sounded like a high school or a college kid. This whole movie, to me, felt like a college student movie, right down to the music. Again, atmospherically, he had it. He's got the atmosphere down. The cinematics were there.
Yeah.
But that was where it stopped for me. That was the only thing that I will give any praise to him in this movie. He is a hack of a director at this point.
Technically
he is a
proficient.
hack of a director. And I don't like to criticize people because I don't want to criticize people for doing the things that I love to watch.
Yeah.
He is not a good director. He's got a long way to go. He's trying to make artsy movies, and I don't know.
I think he's
this was a big giant
technically
fail.
I agree that it's a major failure. I was very disappointed. The main things I loved about it, I liked seeing the Orion picture logo.
So that's what impressed you. Orion Pictures is back.
It always. Well, it's a few movies now. I know it's not really. Is it Orion Pictures? Whatever. Either way, I like seeing that logo, so I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. Opening was cool. Falls flat throughout most of it. Not much happens. It's an interesting. It was a cool take on the story, but it could have been done better. Really drag of a lead performance. The good elements don't help it. The good elements.
The bad outweighed the good in this movie.
Yeah. Basically, it's just.
And by the way, I'm not giving much away. Hansel finds his way home at the end without any breadcrumbs.
Yeah, and
stupid.
Yeah, and well, either way, I think Osgood Perkins is technically good. He needs a better script. He needs to not write. He needs to just have somebody write a script for him and then direct.
Maybe they keep talking about how he's this brilliant up-and-coming horror director, but I see nothing. He's 0 for 3 for me.
Robert Eggers, Ari Aster, yes. Osgood Perkins, cheap imitation, I would say.
Yeah.
He's trying to do what they're doing, and it's not working.
Bottom line, what would you give the score out of 10?
I fell asleep for 5 to 10 minutes. So I'll give it a 5.
You're going to give it a 5 out of 10?
5 out of 10 for 5 to 10 minutes of sleep.
I'm going to give this movie a 3 out of 10. Okay. And the only reason it's getting any kind of a score instead of a 0 or a 1 is because of the atmosphere and because the witch, the actress that played the witch was really good. So that's why it's getting a 3 out of 10 for me. Overall, this movie, you know what, Rich, fire it up on the board. This movie stinks.
It stinks. It stinks. It stinks.
Do whatever you need to do to watch this movie free. Eventually, if it comes on like HBO or Cinemax or Netflix or something that you're already paying for,
it's worth checking out.
Don't buy it on DVD. Don't go to the theater. This movie is a waste of your money.
If you're gonna puff on some stuff,
and I'm very passionate about this. What did you say?
If you're gonna puff on some stuff, it might be worth checking out.
Oh, that makes sense. Maybe. I don't do that stuff, so I don't know. But I don't know.
Speaking
so,
as a professor.
real quickly, I know we're going to switch gears here. You had a book that you wanted to discuss, a book report this week.
Yeah, I'd like to give a little book report. Get into some literature. This is an older book though, so it's kind of dated, but it's from 2007. I'd like to represent some lit in here a little bit more, and
Because you're the professor.
because I am the professor, that's what I do. So, yes, let's talk about some books. So I read Joe Hill's Heart-Shaped Box, his debut novel. This is Joe Hill, son of Stephen King. And I've read a lot of Stephen King, so I figured let's check out his boy. And Heart-Shaped Box is actually a really good book. It's a story about a fading rock star named Judas Coyne. It's very cheesy, so just forgive this.
And it was also an album by Nirvana.
Is that? Oh, yeah. So yeah.
Anyways,
Hey, wait! I've got no complaint. Anyways, sorry.
no comment.
Yeah. So the story's about Judas Coyne. He's a rock star, fading rock musician, formerly famous, living in New York with his girlfriend named Georgia. He names his girlfriends after the states where, like, it's a typical cliche rock star. He names his girls after the states that they're from. So the girls he sleeps with, Georgia, Florida, yada yada yada. So this guy's interested in collecting occult items, and he's got a collection, a very crazy collection. He even has like a snuff film that his former wife divorced him over because she was creeped out by it. So he's like into this weird stuff. And his agent finds a Ghost on sale online. And basically you can place your bid on this heart-shaped box that has the suit of an old man who died, and the suit apparently has a ghost attached to it. So he, being who he is, Judas, orders this thing, and there is an actual honest-to-God ghost attached to it. It starts messing with him though, and it wants him dead, and it gets into all this stuff like the women that he has been with. Florida, one of his girls, Florida, who was this girl Anna, was the daughter of the ghost, and Judas was with this girl, kind of tossed her on the side and moved on. She was heartbroken, and the father blames Judas for the death, and so he arranges all that. He's into the occult, and he studies these things, and he's a hypnotist, and he's got a history of messing with people and studying like ghosts and all that kind of stuff. So he's figured out a way to make himself a ghost to haunt Judas. So it's really interesting. Judas and his current girlfriend go on a road trip to try to find a way to stop this ghost from following them everywhere. They try obviously burning the suit, but that just makes the thing more permanent, because once the suit's gone, the ghost is like it's attached to you, that kind of thing. So they can't really escape it. They figure they'll tap into the ether, so to speak, and speak to ghosts, and speak to Anna, the ghost of Anna, and they go on this trip across country down to Florida and to Louisiana, and things. It's really gory. It's really creepy. It's a streamlined kind of Stephen King type story. He writes like his father. It's actually really entertaining. It's a quick read, a page turner, like they would say. So I would highly recommend this. It's probably 3 out of 5 stars, or like 7.5 out of 10.
It's your book report segment. You can give it 5 out of 5 if you want to do 5.
But I'll do 5 stars, or out of 5 stars. So like 3 stars out of 5 for this.
Works for me.
Definitely worth checking out. I know Joe Hill's getting a lot more attention these days.
He's getting hot.
He's got I think I mentioned this a few weeks ago in the comic industry with DC Comics. He's doing Hill House Comics.
Yep.
And Basket Full of Heads is actually a really good series that I've been reading. And he was just recently in the news this past week. He wanted to write for Doctor Who, and they slammed him down. They were like, "No, nobody but a British person can write Doctor Who." It's kind of weird, like situation.
It is.
So either way, like you're going to be hearing more and more from Joe Hill over the next few years. I figured I'd start with his first book. It's actually pretty good for a debut novel. definitely check it out. He wrote Horns.
Okay.
So the book, the movie Horns with Daniel Radcliffe, is his second book or third book, probably his second. But yeah, he wrote Horns. He's doing good stuff.
Nice. All right, so that is going to do it for our first ever Professor's Literature, whatever you want to call it. The Professor's Corner here.
Get lit with litliterature.
Get lit with literature.
Get literature.
Get lit with the professor. So that is going to do it for our second segment. We're going to take our final break. When we come back, as we teased at the beginning of the show, I got a fun little part one of a 3-part countdown that I worked on. That's something I did on my own personal Facebook page years ago, and we're going to have a good time with that. So we will be right back on Horror Zone 607.
Hey, it's Courtney Gaines, Malachi from Children of the Corn. You're listening to Horror Zone 607.
And welcome back to the Zone. So it is time to talk some horror. And I know that Rich, you usually bring us into this segment, but I'm so excited about this one that I brought it in.
He can't contain himself.
I can't contain myself. I just got naked in the studio.
He's
my
like
pants are
bouncing around all over the place.
My pants are on my head instead of my legs.
Stop touching me.
Yeah, there's a lot of inappropriate things going on. I'm so giddy about this. So about 4.5 years ago, Halloween time, 5 years ago, I actually did a top 31 horror movie countdown. I've talked about it on the show before. Eventually, I'm going to present that. I'm going to do, a series breaking that down. But the following year, I was trying to think, what can I follow up a top 31 greatest horror movies countdown with? And I thought, I thought about doing the best horror movie heroes. I kind of made a list with that, and I was like, nobody wants to hear that. They want to hear about the horror movie icons, the villains in this. So I did a top 31. One person every day kind of wrote about them every day from number 31 through number 1
all
throughout the month of October. Yes. So for this, I'm not going to do a top 31. I might as well tell you I'll tell you what 31 was, but we're not going to talk much about it. But we are going to do numbers 30 through 21 this week. Next week we will do.
We're going to be doing 31 through 21.
Well, yeah, I guess we can look at it that way. If I'm going to give my what it was, my whatever you want to call it. But next week we'll do numbers 20 through 11.
I think we should skip around and do like.
You want to do like number 7,
29 through 25, and then let's do like 20 through
and we'll
15,
circle back to the beginning
and then go back.
Okay, we can do that too.
Let's throw people off.
But over the next 3 weeks, we'll kind of present. We'll present this list.
Keep your audience on your toes.
So number 31, and again, we're not going to talk much about this because I want to move along with this. But number 31, I had Reverend Henry Kane. So great creepy guy. It was in Poltergeist 2, and it would have made higher on the list if he had been around for part 3. Technically, he was, but the actor that originally played him died, and it was a waste of a character in Poltergeist 3. So he barely.
He'd be up there for me. That man is scary.
He was creepy, terrifying. But we will kick off the actual list here. So number 30, the Man in the Mask from The Strangers.
Okay, yeah,
terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
The man.
So simple.
Just the man.
Just the man in the mask.
Just the man in the mask.
Is the man behind the mask?
There is no man behind the mask. It's just the man in a mask.
Wait, I'm thinking of the Michael Jackson song "Man in the Mirror."
You're thinking of Man in the Mirror.
Okay.
This is the Man in the Mask.
Okay.
So I know you're not a big fan of The Strangers. I personally think it's one of the greatest slasher movies of all time.
It's good.
I thought you didn't like it. We've had a lot of debates about this.
I've come around to it. When I initially saw it, I liked it, but there were a few moments that made me laugh, like the girl on the swing set, and
I thought that was creepy.
And I thought that. Well, I was dating a girl at the time, and we were just giggling the whole time watching this.
You were tickling each other in the movie theater.
Well, yeah.
You also made out during Schindler's List, didn't you?
Yeah.
You sick.
Going back to Seinfeld didn't that happen?
That was on Seinfeld. Yeah, it was an episode of Seinfeld. You made out during Schindler's List.
Wow.
Rich, what do you think?
I think that he was a man. He was a man behind the mask.
He was a man in a mask. The man behind the mask was technically Jason Voorhees, and yeah, there it is.
That's right.
And my pants are off again.
This is the only man in the mask that I care about. I didn't mind Strangers. Strangers was an alright movie. I mean, it was definitely a creepy premise because it's one of those ones that you could technically have happen in real life.
Yeah.
So I mean, I thought it was creepy in that aspect, but I can see why. I mean, emotionless. I don't know. I always thought that the woman in the almost Betty Boop looking mask was way more menacing though.
Yeah,
the one on the swing set.
Yeah, she was
way more menacing.
She was she was definitely menacing. The thing I liked about this guy is he just kind of pops up very quietly from behind. He just has a brown suit on,
don't you?
Brown suit on. He's got the sack on his head with the drawn-on eyes, the drawn-on smile. You just hear him kind of wheezing. Carries around an axe.
He was very.
To me, he was terrifying.
He was very town that feared the sundown.
He was.
He's
and
good.
It was inspired by that. Now, my favorite scene in that movie. There's really nothing. There's no big when he big jump scare with that sound effect. Liv Tyler is in the house waiting for her boyfriend to come back. She's got her back turned to where the doorway is, and he just kind of walks in a frame and just stands there and stares at her. And the camera focuses on something else with her. It comes back and he's missing. It was stuff like that in the movie. He was absolutely terrifying. But that character scares me to death.
As far as iconic, though, I mean, Michael Myers does stuff like that.
I'm sure he's higher on the list.
Yeah,
he made number 32.
I was going to say he got cut because Mike's hatred of Halloween 2018.
As a character, though, there's not much going on. It's good that it's terrifying. It's later on the list.
That's why he's at the bottom. But I think he's terrifying.
That's fine. Hey, it's his list. So yeah, I mean,
it is my list.
It was a decent. It was a good movie.
It's not from my own head.
It was a good movie. I mean,
yeah, it's good.
All right, number 29, Drayton Sawyer.
You're gonna have to.
Interesting pick, though.
Drayton Sawyer,
interesting
the cook from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Interesting pick. I mean, I don't see him as much as a villain as I do almost comedy relief.
Yeah.
He's a very comic relief character.
I mean, he's another one that scares me. He's
really?
so nuts. He's the guy is all over the place. He's like schizophrenic.
All he's doing is making chili, baby. Making chili.
In the sequel,
making
the
chili,
first
baby.
one, he's making sausage out of.
Well, let's see. It doesn't really matter. Are we really going to cut the difference between the different kinds of human meat that he's making people eat? I'm just saying.
He's creepy.
He's the best. By the way, he's the best chili cooker in all of Texas.
Well, I actually really like him.
My favorite part in that
part 2.
Yeah, part 2 he's way better.
It expands the character more, and I'm not saying this is just from part 1. I'm
just
saying the character in general.
I would
agree.
He's just a man. Listen, I don't understand why you're villainizing this man. He is just a man who enjoys making chili for people.
He's just a cook.
Yeah.
He's cooking. He's making chili. He's just trying to hide the fact that there may or may not be some hair or tooth in one of the ladies' bowls because he doesn't want to lose that trophy.
Yeah, they find it's a peppercorn.
Yeah,
it's just a peppercorn.
It's just peppercorn.
So number 28, Damien Thorne.
Yeah. Which so the whole Omen series.
The whole Omen series, but I'm thinking of the original Omen.
Yeah,
just as a little boy. Yeah. He was one of the original terrifying little kids. And
I would agree that this is a great pick, and I would actually place him higher on a list.
But I have such good ones on.
Yeah, you got some good ones here though. Yeah, this is good. But yeah, Damien. Very, very creepy little boys.
Daddy,
that's
no.
the first one.
He's just a kid that wants to play on his tricycle. Man.
Aside
from this at all.
Aside
still
from
has
like
that
the kid from the
by the way.
Twilight Zone, right? Like what was it? Andy or
the one that controls people.
Yeah,
because he can
because he's destroyed the whole world and he's just.
That was Billy Mooney.
What's the name of the boy? Oh my lord!
I don't think it matters.
Who are we? Why Horror Zone? We don't deserve the namesake.
Yeah,
well, remember this.
There was like 7,000 episodes of the Twilight Zone.
And by the way, his name was different in the original than were from the movie too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I mean it's hard to remember. I do believe at one point it was Andy. I'm pretty sure it was Andy. I don't remember if that was the original of the movie.
But yeah. That's creepy little kids,
yeah. Creepy little kids are scary. Let's be honest. They are scary. But yeah, I do give it to you. He's probably The second. Yeah, no, it's
After
pretty
the
close.
Twilight Zone kid.
Well,
yeah.
no, the original one wasn't that bad though. It was the one from the movie that was really
Yeah.
creepy. That's after The Omen. I'm just trying to remember if The Shining came first.
The Omen
'Cause the
came out in
twins-
1976. The Shining was in 1980.
80.
Yeah, so there
This
you go.
was
So
first.
so he was first. He was original. There you
Yep.
go. OG baby. OG.
Number 27. Somebody that we met out of costume at Scaricon a couple years ago. The Creeper. From Jeepers
Creeper.
Creepers.
Nice.
Good
What's
stuff.
his name? Brent.
It's Jonathan Breck.
Jonathan Breck.
Jonathan Breck.
Who's
Very nice man.
very nice guy. Surprisingly, he was only about my height. He wasn't a very big guy.
He looks. They must have
5'9",
used a lot of power
5'10".
shots. Then.
Very
He
good.
looked like-
Very
very heavy
giving.
smoker.
Yes.
Very heavy
No.
smoker. He
But he's
he
very-
reeked of cigarettes.
But he
But a very nice guy.
Very nice guy. He gave we did
just smoked a lot.
Me and Derek did a panel with him.
Yeah,
We did a panel with him. So
The
he's pretty
Creeper.
good.
The Creeper is awesome.
iconic.
I,
He became an icon in the horror industry.
Say what you will about the director. Those movies are interesting. It's a very good character. It's a cool demon type thing and you don't get much explanation. I like that. It's awesome.
Now, I just thought of something too. Art the Clown didn't come around until after I made this list, so
Yeah.
he's not on this list. He probably would have. He would have ranked somewhere in this. I just
Why
thought
don't
of
you
that.
just
while
throw
we
him
were
in
doing-
there?
But I'm just saying, a villain. He's more or less a deformed man, a deformed gentleman who just wants to pick up garbage on the side of the road
Yeah,
in his truck.
Yeah.
in his truck. Maybe stitch it back together in a church.
If the
Make
kids
a
had just
tapestry.
left him alone.
If it wasn't for them damn meddling kids, he would never be a villain.
All right, number 26. Now, this is the one. I don't know how you're going to react to this. This is the one I was telling you earlier.
Who are you talking to?
You.
Yeah,
You,
pronouns,
Professor.
pal. Pronouns, pal.
Professor. So when I originally did this list, I thought you were going to absolutely tear my head off, and you ended up praising me for this. I don't know if you're going to feel the same way now. It's 4 years later. You might be in a different mood. So the movie itself is not a horror movie. But if you go back and you watch it after what I'm about to explain and think of it as a slasher movie, the movie is a slasher movie. It's a terrifying movie. So the movie is No Country for Old Men. The villain is Anton Chigurh.
Oh yeah.
Anton Chigurh, number 26 on the most iconic horror movie villains of all time.
He's just a man who wants his stuff back, man.
With one heck of a haircut.
Yeah.
One heck of a haircut.
And he
The whole-
has interesting ways of getting his stuff back.
Well,
I mean, come on, not a villain.
the coin calling the coin scene alone is just
Call it.
It's more intense than a lot of horror movie scenes.
Oh, yeah. No music playing.
Yeah.
Just him and an old guy working
Very
at
What
menacing.
do I win? You win everything, right?
Yeah.
Very menacing. Very menacing.
Yeah.
Friendo.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great. And
Watch that movie sometime under the premise that it is a slasher movie, because that is a slasher movie. He is every bit as much of a slasher villain as Halloween or Friday the 13th, you name it. He's mortifying.
to get professorial on this, I mean, you get a lot of those, like, what was I thinking? No Country for Old Men. Just, it really does get into this unstoppable force, like a Michael Myers. Like, once this guy is set on you,
He's very
not-
much like a Michael Myers.
and-
He's a boogeyman.
Yeah, and he just needs to be on screen, and it's like
Yeah.
everything stops.
But even when he's stalking from the shadows, everything about him. Everything about him. You look like you got something to say, Rich.
Oh, I'm just saying. I still stand by not a villain, man. He's just a man looking for his stuff, brother.
He's the protagonist. He's the protagonist.
He's the protagonist.
He's just
So
looking
gonna
for his,
make
he's just looking for
He'll
his
be on
stuff,
the
baby.
top 30 horror movie heroes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 25, The Black Christmas Killer. Now, in the original movie, he is not known as Billy. You hear him talking about Billy and Agnes. He is just known as the Black Christmas Killer.
Oh,
Okay.
Billy.
Oh,
That's fun.
Yeah, don't tell him what we did, Agnes.
But yeah, once again, I mean, he's just a jaundiced boy looking for his way in life, living in an attic. Man, he's homeless. We got to feel bad
In the
for him.
remake.
I don't know if we should be picking on him as a villain. I mean,
the original one. We don't even know who the killer is.
right? Yeah,
Exactly.
No,
You
no.
don't
I'm
know
just,
his name. That's why
I
it's the
had
Black
to,
Christmas Killer.
I have to use
I'm
the
not
remake.
referring to the remake.
I just have
Yeah.
to use the remake because I need some way to make him sound like not a villain. And
Yeah.
the only way to make him sound like he's just a homeless jaundiced boy living in someone's attic, baby. He likes to make phone calls. He likes.
He likes to make phone calls.
Listen,
he's just getting the wrong number.
The problem is he's a little bit too Louis C.K. for these girls. Just throwing it out there.
Well, I think like the sense I get with Black Christmas is almost like demonic type. This thing it attaches to somebody because like at the end,
I never looked at it that way.
At the end, he's there's somebody back up in the attic.
No, I
never
think
found
they never found the killer.
They never got him.
It's just
But
the best.
they arrested the
They arrested the wrong
They didn't
man,
arrest
brother.
anybody.
yeah.
They thought that it was the boyfriend.
They thought it was the boyfriend,
Yeah.
but
But he was
even
dead. She killed him.
Even
She
when they
killed him.
she kills him, but even at the end, it proves that he wasn't the killer because the killer is revealed to be still alive.
Yeah,
That's the menacing part of that movie. The menacing part of that movie is that the killer is never caught, and B, the killer is never revealed.
Right.
And,
Which
that's
is the
what
most
leads to
brilliant ending of any horror movie ever made.
I mean, it is assumed that he is it is assumed that there is an allusion to a Billy-esque character without calling him Billy in that movie, that there was somebody else that lived there.
There's
But
a close-up of his eye when he opens the door, and it's
Yeah.
like this really weird, like there's
that's
Half
where they get
blue,
the
half brown,
yeah. That's where they
green.
get the
Yeah.
That's where they get the jaundice thing from in the remake. Is that the fact that it's alleged that he's not exactly normal. And that's just their way of doing it in the remake. But with that being said, I hate the fact that they showed the killer. The
So
best
do you
part
think
of
that maybe Pinocchio was the killer?
The best
He is a
part
real
of the
boy.
movie. The best part of the movie is that there was no killer ever given.
Right.
It's the best part of the movie.
Has an ambiguous ending, and I love it.
But once again, for my argument's sake, not a villain. jaundice boy, homeless addict, likes phones.
All right. Now I want to hear what you have to say with the next one. Then.
Okay.
Number 24, and it doesn't matter if it's the original or the remake. Really, I'm thinking more the original. The Miner from My Bloody Valentine.
Probably be better off with the original.
He's a hero.
Here's the thing.
He's a hero. He is a good guy.
So here's the problem.
He's just a guy
He's
trying
just,
to work.
He's just a common man,
Blue-collared.
working hard for his dream.
Yeah.
He's the
So it's
American.
Dusty Rhodes.
He's the American dream, baby. He's the American dream, daddy.
will.
If you will. And I'm just. That was an easy one to make up an excuse for. Misunderstood, brother. Yeah. He was just trying to do his job, and
He was in
somebody.
love, right? He was in love.
It was kind of a weird three-way, but I'm not quite sure. Here's the weird part about it. This is why I'm going to say this. I'm not quite sure who he was in love with. Like the one thing that I will say is
think himself.
No, I'm just saying. The one thing I will say about that movie is I can't tell if he really had the hots for the chick or the guy. I think it was the first. I think it was the first movie where they blurred that line, because if you think about it, it was an interesting setup, and then at the end you really don't get a whatever. But he definitely was a psycho. I do like the original better because it's a better setup.
Much
It's a better
better
killer. And I love the fact that he runs off like a hyena at the
Yeah.
end. It's the best thing
creepy.
ever.
Yeah.
Wait, is that the deleted ending or the
No, that's
original?
how
ending?
That's how the original ending was. The deleted ending was he died. It's
okay.
horrible.
Yeah.
You don't want to.
I like him running away.
Running away with what, one arm? Because he cut. Doesn't
Yeah,
he cut
he
his,
cuts
he cuts
his
his
laughing,
arm.
and he's
It's not
after
his
the
full
ceiling
arm.
collapsed.
It's like
Yeah.
part of his arm
And
is
he's
gone,
laughing
and he's
and- yeah,
laughing
it's
like
great.
a hyena. It's the best. It's a great ending. That's a
very
good. I
creepy.
love the original. The remake's not. We talked about it on the show. The remake's
Remake's
not bad. It's
good for a
watchable.
remake.
Great
It's
kills.
It's watchable.
Great kills.
Oh, dude, the scene in the hospital.
Best 3D movie.
The
I've
shovel
ever
to
seen.
the.
I was just gonna say the scene in the hospital though, when you see the original killer and
yeah,
the scene in the
yeah.
hospital when everybody's just dead and
Yeah.
dude's cut in half and trying to
Harry
move.
Warden.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, that was so great. So there was really cool stuff in the remake, but the original killer was definitely the better killer.
I agree.
Yes.
All right, number 23. We got a 2-for-1 here. We got a tandem.
Oh boy.
We have got Roman and Minnie Castevet from Rosemary's Baby.
Well,
Evil people.
they were just
Yeah.
looking to surrogate the Antichrist, man.
They
What's
just want to
wrong
give their
with that,
neighbors.
baby?
Hey,
they want to give their neighbors some pudding.
Let's Satanists
They
get a
just,
bad rap.
like I said, they just
Yeah,
wanted
they're
to,
good. They're good people.
I'm telling you, they just wanted to surrogate the Antichrist.
Celebrate-
it's okay, baby.
celebrate
Do it.
yourself.
Do you, baby?
Hail Satan.
I gotta say, this segment's not going the way I expected it to.
Hail Satan.
Well, we gotta have a we gotta have a little fun with
Well,
it.
Absolutely.
You gotta celebrate yourself. That's all Satanists believe.
True.
And as
But if I
I'm
can
with
be,
Rich, they're
if I can
good
be
people.
serious, coming back for a minute, good movie. I mean, they are creepy as shit. I mean, I love how it's lurking. You know something's off the whole movie, and then they hit you with it, and you're like, oh, that's what's off.
Yeah, and neighbors can be terrifying.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's a great movie where you've got atmosphere and a slow burn that it works. That movie's brilliant.
Polanski was awesome when he was not a crazy criminal.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. There you go.
All right, we got two more this week. Number 22, Baby Firefly.
Yeah, I would put her
She's the hottest one on the list.
She's just a daddy's girl. It's a little confused. I mean, I'm just saying.
She's been misguided.
She's been misguided. She's
Conditioned the wrong way.
She's been used and abused. She's just a product of her environment.
I
mean, actually, if you were going to make a new PC version of that, that's probably what you would have to put her as.
House of Thousand Corpses,
probably.
especially like when she's doing all the Betty Boop stuff.
Yeah.
And then like the little nursery rhymes when she's killing people.
Yeah.
You kind of lose that as the series goes along.
Right.
And I like that.
She was much better in the first one.
House of Thousand Corpses is great.
They almost, by the end of The Devil's Rejects, they almost make her like a hero, which I didn't like.
Yeah, you can't make any of those people heroes.
No. And that's how
That's
they
the
ended
problem.
up turning it.
I was going to say that's the problem with Devil's Rejects. A good movie, don't get me wrong. The problem with it is they became the heroes towards the end. They give them the blaze of glory ending. Like, that's a hero
but
ending.
just with the way the cop is treating them and
Right,
the
yeah,
things
but
that
I'm
he's
just
doing,
saying.
I
he
can see
becomes
what
the villain.
Yeah.
Zombie's probably going for a satirical way, but a satirical bent towards it. But I don't think anybody read it that way. You watch the movie and it's like, yeah, these guys, go out with guns.
Yeah, it's basically blaze of glory ending, brother. I mean, it is what it is.
All right. So to round out the first third of the list, the last one we're going to reveal this week, number 21, Otis B. Driftwood.
Hells yeah.
Kind of sticking with the Firefly gang.
Love me some Bill Moseley.
He was a man that had a substance abuse problem and he didn't know how to handle it. I'm just saying.
He's just a hippie.
all these machinations.
just saying, baby. He was all right. He was all right, guy.
Fish boy.
He's very creative.
Let's be honest. We haven't seen a great villain like that since Freddy's dead. I mean,
I was waiting for it. I thought you were going to forget this week. You did not forget.
Man.
I'll get it in there. Don't worry. But no, in all seriousness, I liked him. Once again, it's another case of the House of a Thousand Corpses is better as far as that character even. I mean, the "Who's Your Daddy" thing is great.
The "Who's Your Daddy" scene
That's
is
great.
crazy.
He very much becomes in the sequel.
He's very menacing in the original House of a Thousand Corpses.
Both of them, really, in
Yeah,
different
yeah.
ways.
I'm the
In different ways.
Similar
Similar but different.
Who's your daddy?
In The Devil's Rejects, he's very much Charles Manson.
Oh yeah, he's
Some of the
definitely a
things that he
cult
says,
leader.
he steals from Charles Manson.
I still haven't seen the other one.
Or
because
the
I'm waiting
Manson
for
family, I should say.
Three from Hell. I'm not. I haven't seen it because I'm waiting for
Valentine's Day,
Shutter.
right?
Yeah, it's going to be on Shudder in about a week.
I can watch that with my fee that I already pay. I don't want to pay for it, but yeah. I agree. I think it's
steady
cool.
decline as like. Well, I get that he was going for more realism with Devil's Rejects, and the House of Thousands of Corpses, the carnival house, like crazy attraction, like very different tones. But yeah, I like the Otis in House of Thousand Corpses better. It's more.
I always wish that they did an exact, like a direct sequel to that.
yeah,
instead
I
of
would say
doing what
though,
they
if you
did.
made this list newer, you should have had him as his character in Boar. He was terrorizing that poor creature in the wilderness of Australia. He was an American.
That poor giant
He was an
boar.
American in a foreign country, taking it to their endangered species because that boar had to be.
You know what? The fact that he was a family man, there aren't families anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody
Damn
stays
him.
together. There's no marriage.
Damn him. He
Yeah.
deserved what he got.
What a heel.
I'm gonna pitch what my version of Three from Hell should have been, or what I thought it was going to be. Right, like they died at the end of Devil's
Right. Don't give
Rejects.
away too much because we haven't seen it. But
All right, so here's where I would have taken the story, and I won't tell you where it goes.
To hell?
They died at the end of Devil's Rejects. You have Dr. Satan, and you bring him and an army of the dead, and you fucking end of the world scenario. That's what it should have been.
Yeah.
right.
They missed
Three
opportunities.
from
man.
Hell. Yeah. They should have been the leaders of the army of.
But after you went
Army of
Dr.
Darkness.
Dr.
after you went cult western, you had to do something different. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the
They
weird
should have
part.
brought Dr. Satan back.
Dr. Satan should have never left.
technically,
I agree.
He was in
The scene.
Devil's Rejects, but it was a deleted scene.
That was a cool scene with Rosario Dawson getting her
Yeah.
neck bit.
Yeah.
Poor Dr. Satan.
So that's it for this week with the list. What do you guys think overall so far?
I think you've nailed it. I think there are some good ones. There are some ones I would put higher on my list.
Well, we have to
Okay.
wait. We have to wait to find out the full
Yeah,
list
I
before we
wanna
know where they are.
and then we're going to rearrange it.
Because I'm going to say the heavy hitters. the heavy hitters.
We'll
we have to
redo
go.
it.
So far, I can make an argument for each one of them being misunderstood.
This is my list. That's what I'll come at you. Wah!
But I'm just saying, I'll wait to see it. But so far, so good.
Yeah, I like it.
There was nothing really. There was good stuff.
You done good.
All right.
Except for you made fun of the handicapped and a man who has substance abuse problems and a girl who grew up in a disadvantaged home. Like,
A lot
come
of
on,
misunderstood people that
man,
you're
misunderstood
ranking on
people.
Villains, huh?
So I should have been numbers
You're the
30.
villain.
You're number one.
You're
number
every
one.
one of them.
You're number one. You're the number one villain.
You
on
are
this list.
number one.
Spooky Mike.
Spooky Mike, number one villain, because he's vilifying people who are just misunderstood. They're a good list so far. So if you want to comment, you want to give us your opinions on that list or anything else we talk about, Horror Zone 607 on Facebook. It is at Horror Zone 607 on Twitter and Instagram. To join the conversation, use the hashtag HZ607. Check us out on 8122productions.com, where we have all these shows that you can stream and download from there, as well as Mike C's reviews. There's a review from Rafe on there as well. We also have
The Professor.
The Professor.
Who's this,
sorry.
Rafe? Who are you
Sorry.
talking
We don't know
about?
who this is.
Sorry. We also have Three Fat Nerds stuff there, the wrestling show on there that I do with Ken M from the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, which is going up as well. We also have sponsors and musical guests and all that great stuff, and so much more there. Also, you can go ahead and support us monetarily if you choose, because that would be helpful. Because hey, podcasting isn't free after all, folks. But if you want to listen to it for free, we have nothing against you. But if you want to get a butt ton of extras and really cool stuff, you can do that and we're not trying to break the bank, $1 tier, $3 tier. So as little as $12 a month, you get a ton of bonus content. Go to patreon.com/8122productions. That's it.
All right. Well, I want to thank the Professor for being in the studio again for the third week in a row. Maybe we'll get to see you 4 weeks in a row.
Unfortunately, next week I'm going to see Mr. Bungle for one of their shows in New York City. Mr. Bungle's only doing 6 shows. They're reuniting. Anybody who knows, this is big. So I will not, unfortunately.
You are a bunghole.
It's Tuesday night next week. So
all right. So you're not going to hear numbers 20 through 11. You'll have to listen to the show.
I'll hear them.
You'll have to listen to the show.
I'll hear them. I won't be able to respond live.
Probably for the better. Well, thanks for being here, buddy. It's good having you here.
I'll be back the following week.
All right, good. I can't wait to hear more of your nonsense.
Good.
All right, and Rich, thank you for all you do. Thanks for being here. You're your best co-host on the planet. And thank you, the listeners, for once again tuning in and for listening to us each and every week. So for the guys, for Horror Zone 607, I am Mike C. saying... See ya.